Thanks for joining us for another episode of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. We're back for our Week 7 review episode, and what a week it was for the Good Teams Win, Great Teams Covers, guys. Or me specifically. I know Byron and Joe, you two had decent weeks as well. Yeah, and you'll hear all about that as we go. I will not fail to mention it to Byron and Joe several times over the course of this episode. But another great week in the NFL, some blockbuster matchups. Some crazy scores. Fantastic week. We saw the final London game, which is always sad when we get to the last one. Ended up being a fun one. So, all around great week. Joe, Byron, how was your Week 7 in the NFL?
Right, Cowboys didn't lose. Take that any week we get it. So, it's fun. What a wild week it felt like. And I felt like a lot of injuries again this week, which is always hard. But, fun week. Other than those injuries.
A lot of stars missing a lot of the season, if not the rest of the season, which is always sad to see. Joe, so your team, when we get to the Niners game, we'll talk about your star that came out. But apart from that, how was the rest of your Week 7?
It ended on, like you said, a sour note with everything what happened. Bit depressing, bit down. But, rest of the games, plenty of fun teams. A lot of teams. I think there was a lot of high-ranking teams we had, especially on our power ranking against each other. So it was fun to see, who came out on top. So it was a fun week all around.
Excellent. Well, we're going to go over what we thought were the best games or the most important games of the week. We'll get into our fourfold challenge results, our ATS pick competition results, and round off the rest of our bets. Fantasy game day winner, we'll check in on the OG £7.50 game winner, and also preview what could be a very interesting Thursday night football, given some trade rumours we were just talking about off air before we wrap up. But let's start with the final London game. So, Joe, you mentioned that we had all the games between people that are high on our power rankings. This one was where we had teams that were very low in our power rankings, as the Patriots fell to the Jaguars, a much needed win for Jacksonville. Doug Peterson probably saved his job for another few weeks. The Jaguars won their home game at Wembley 32-16. This was a real interesting game. The Patriots started off okay. Good couple of drives. Drake May looked decent for the first part, and then the Jags just completely took over the game.
Yeah, it was a crazy game. Obviously the Patriots scored 10-0, and at that point, I'm thinking Peterson's not going to make it back home at this rate. It felt like they were, couldn't have got much any better that first quarter. Just how it went on, the time of possession, both the drives were long, and they had to settle for the field goal for the second drive. But still at 10-0, I was like, oh wow, the Patriots might be upsetting, might be a strong word, but we're certainly looking good. And then the Jaguars go back to back, long series. The first one 8 plays 68 yards, and then 6 plays 82 yards, which it definitely felt like the game changed. And then that punt return to make it 22-10 was just, it felt like at that point, just before halftime, it was more or less done. And it's interesting, some of the comments from Mayo saying that his team's soft, and how and it just did feel like how they just ran all over them. I think a lot of the they were just doing what they wanted to on the run game. That the inside offensive line was just more than this Patriots team, which I don't think you would have expected, especially at the start of the season, how both lines were looking coming into the year. So, very disappointing on the New England side, but it's a big win for the Jacksonville Jaguars to go home and see if they can restart their season and get back. Well, it'll take a while to get back on track, but at least gives them some life while, the Patriots might be getting a high draft pick again.
Yeah, that I think was quite telling. Mayo using the word soft. It's interesting to come out and say that in public. I think if you think that about your team, maybe you don't come out that quickly and say that. You say that behind closed doors. So I thought it was real interesting that he chose to use that. It's a damning indictment of a team.
Damning indictment of yourself as well.
Yeah, and especially given the nature of how he was as a player and what he was supposed to bring to that role. So we see it very early days for him in his head coaching career. So things may change.
Bill Belichick didn't like the comment.
He
I
did
think you've
not.
seen his response. Yeah, like this was the number one run defense last year, and now you call them soft. I thought it was interesting. I guess Bill Belichick is a media personality right now, so I mean, good for him for commenting and not shying away from it. But it feels weird when he was the coach last year and like he's so revered, but doesn't care. Like he's not going to sugarcoat it because it is his, a bit of a coaching protege. It's kind of how Mayo was introduced. So I respect Belichick for coming out and saying it. And I don't really think Mayo should say it. I will say I think that is something that should say behind closed doors, but he's right. I think Jacksonville ran 17, 18 times in a row to end the third quarter, start the fourth quarter. And I don't think they scored, but they just kept bullying the Patriots, just kept pushing them. And, Tank Bigsby's been playing well this year, but he's not Derrick Henry. Like, he looks really good, but that Jags O-line and Tank Bigsby shouldn't be like a matchup you fear it. And I don't think whoever the Jags play next will be like, oh man, we've really got to, be ready to go on Sunday. We've got Tank coming into town. Just kind of a damning thing on the Patriots. And yeah, like I say, I think Mayo should keep that in-house if he wants to keep his locker room. But I don't think he's wrong. I just think he probably shouldn't say it.
Yeah. That was the first time the Jags had managed to score that many points in the first half since December 2017. The Jags scored 22 points in the first half, which I thought was a crazy stat. It's not that many points.
No, it's not.
Sadly, Baron, I thought it was too recent to do what was the UK number one.
Do you have the answer, though?
I do have the answer, yes.
Oh, nice. When was it?
It was December 2017. I'll give you a clue because I feel like modern music might not be our specialist subject. It's definitely a duet. Not. It's a duet. Or, yeah, I'd say duet.
Is it a Christmas number one?
It's not a Christmas song, no.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, it was. I believe it must have been number one at Christmas, yeah, because of how long it was number one. So it must have been number one at Christmas that year.
Okay, so not the Pogues Fairy Tale of New York, because that was a Christmas number one. That's kind of a duet with Jason McCall.
No, it's not that.
And I think that was 2019 or 2020, in fact. I'm really struggling. It's too modern for me, this, I think. Joe, you got it?
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm just trying to think.
Duet's killing me as well.
Yeah. What was it, Paul?
It is Ed Sheeran and Beyonce.
I never would have got
Perfect.
that.
I think it's called.
I was going to say, you got to say the song title, Liam, mate, because I haven't got a clue still. So, never heard of the song. But yeah, good fun fact. Yeah, but yeah, need to go about 30 years early for us, I think.
yeah, I thought it would have been. But yeah, Bigsby I thought was particularly impressive. Running the ball, and Brian Thomas Jr. had another decent game. But yeah, end of the London series. Jags have got 5. We talked about that by Doug Peterson a few weeks. They are coming up against 5 real tough games. It's particular the defenses I think they need to be worried about. So I think they play the Packers next.
Yep.
Packers, Eagles, Vikings, Lions, Texans. I don't think he makes it through the 5.
No, it's a long way till the Titans in week 40.
Yeah, I think we could be here with the Jags at 2-10.
At least Doug didn't have an awkward flight home.
He didn't know he managed.
That's nice.
He did manage to make it, which is good. Yeah, that's enough of the London game. NFC North clash next. Lions, Vikings. What an incredible game this was. Lions just about win it at the end. Yeah. With the, I think, what was it, a 44-yard field goal from Bates. A wild back and forth game. The Lions blew kind of double-digit lead. The Vikings blew double-digit lead. It was just a bit of a wild game. But the Lions top of the NFC North at 5-1 with the tiebreaker over the Vikings.
Yeah, I think this game was kind of exactly what we'd hoped it'd be, right? Back and forth, a lot of offense, just a really well-played game. I think the Vikings, I forget who it was actually, who had the fumble recovery on Jalen Naylor, or snatching the ball from Jalen Naylor, essentially, but he was, 2 inches out of bounds. I think the game might have looked a little different if he was 2 inches inbounds and they get that touchdown, but, it's a game of fine margins, and you don't get them. And, I mean, truthfully, it probably led to it being a better game. Just let me and I lost my bet of the Lions winning by 6.5, which I think they were on course to do at that point. But yeah, credit the Vikings that came back. It's the first time I think they've had to, show such mental toughness this season. They've had it, through their own ability, to be fair, they've had it relatively easy in terms of having to come back from anything this year. I think, I forget the exact stat, but Sam Darnold's thrown like 3 passes from behind this season prior to Sunday. And, they didn't welch, they didn't wilt in the heat of the comeback. They played well. Ivan Pace had a big fumble return, touchdown. Yeah, I think it's just a really well-played game. I think the Lions are a better team, and I think, the better team on the day just edged it. But that's exactly what you want in a big top-of-the-table divisional clash, so...
Yeah, I was real worried for the Lions early on. So the decision for the fake punt, have they gone overkill with that now? Where they've tried so many times that almost teams are ready. Teams are ready for it, and when you kind of are wanting to do it, there is no element of surprise.
I don't think so. I think it was a bit of poor execution. They left the guy unblocked, which, if he's not blocked and it fails, fair enough. But I think, like any play, if you don't block a guy, then that could be a passing down and you're going to fail on it. Maybe it is a little overdone, but I'm not going to discredit them for it because I think, I'll go to war for Dan Campbell like his players will. And like that attitude and that, we play with 4 downs is what got them where they are. And I think it's going to keep them where they are. I don't think it's going to go away from it anytime soon. And if the next 2 times they succeed, we're not going to say, oh, they're doing it too much. So I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah, I was a bit worried because the Vikings scored the very next play, the first down. They scored, first down, second down, so a couple of plays they scored. And then the Lions went 3 and out twice. So we were real worried they could blow out. But they managed to kind of hold on and get back in it. And then, we're real, obviously real strong throughout, particularly sort of big games from Gibbs on the ground. So obviously we saw Montgomery looked like he got a bit banged up. But came back in the game later on. 116 on the ground and another 44 through the air. Amon-Ra, St. Brown had a huge game, 8 grabs for 112. I just thought the Lions kind of showed me a little bit of something to just kind of overcome a really slow start. And they were just so potent offensively. Just a very, very enjoyable game.
Yeah, and I would say I was going to say on the opposite end, I think the Vikings showed me something as well, because I think we've all been waiting for them to drop off, or maybe it's just biased on how we perceive them at the start of the year, and we're expecting that drop off. But they win that game, and they could have easily won it. They get the fumble touchdown, and then Goff fumbles it again, and it's only his offensive lineman who jumps on it. If the Vikings get that ball, then they'll just probably waste the clock, kick another field goal, and then or even get a touchdown, and then they could have won it. And again, the Lions ended up punting it back, and the Vikings went 3 and out. That's where the slight differences are. That's where the best teams win that game from there, keep on the field, and keep that clock going. So it was a great game. I think both sides. I think for me, the Vikings showed a lot as well, that they can hang with the big boys. They've done that. They played a lot of big teams when you actually look at who they played at the start of the year, and obviously they've won everyone except this one, but it was a close game. So I think they definitely showed that they're no flukes, and they're in this race for not only for the NFC North but for the NFC in general, because I don't think there's any other team other than the NFC North, really, any other division where there's going to be a strong contender for that number 1 pick. The only problem is obviously these other teams in the NFC North going to beat each other up and hamper that, but I don't think there's anyone else, maybe other than the Commanders, how they've looked, who are looking scary, to be honest. So good on the Vikings and how they played as a collective on both sides of the ball.
We saw, I think, as well, kind of the Vikings defense and Brian Flores' strategies to blitz. Jared Goff was incredible against the blitz in terms of kind of his completion. I think it was 13 for 15 against the blitz. It was something like that. He only had 2 incompletions against the blitz. So he was able to kind of really take advantage of it. Lions pass rush, obviously, we was worried about Aiden Hutchinson being out. They managed to get 4 sacks and get pressure on Sam Darnold a lot of the afternoon. So, yeah, I think all in all a good, a good out for the Lions. I think they've probably just shown that they were just a cut above the Vikings. Be interesting, obviously the matchup again later in the season in Detroit. See how it goes, and I expect it will have a lot of stakes on it. It'll be a real important game, kind of for potentially for the division and playoff seeding later down the line, which should be fun. In this one, I think we went 2 of 5 in this one, 2 of 5 or 3 of 6. It depends if you're going to give me two for this or not. So I was on the lines real early at +1.5, and then I took them again at +2.5. What I should have just done was took the money line because I thought they were going to win the game. And then Joe, you hit Lions over 26.5 rushing attempts as well.
Yeah, I actually doubled that up as well when I put a bet on for the Lions. I think it was over 120 rushing yards. It was like their line and the butt. Yeah, managed to hit both. So yeah, it worked out how I expected them to run all over. But I'm sure one of us said Goff for MVP. Has he come back into the conversation? I think he started the year not looking that way the first 2 weeks. They were a bit shaky and, looking like not the old Goff, but not the Goff we expected. But now the last couple of games, obviously had that perfect game. Would you say he's in the MVP race now? And because again, I don't think it's a year where there's one or two I think are above him, but there's no one blowing out the water.
Right now, I think it feels silly to say Patrick Mahomes isn't in the race when they're unbeaten. Spoiler alert for a game coming up, but he's 8-1 right now. He was 30-1 when I put him on at the start preseason. I think he's absolutely in the race. To me, Lamar Jackson is a clear front runner at this point, but I would have Jared Goff second in that race. The bookies have it Lamar, Mahomes, Allen, Goff, Love. I think you could probably draw a line there, to be fair. Stroud is the same odds as Love, but Stroud isn't playing that way. To me, then it's Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, Darnold, maybe. But yeah, I think I still like Jared Goff at 800, to be fair, to get himself there. He's playing really good football. A lot of my argument was that they were playing so much indoors. They still are going to. The majority of the schedule is indoors. He actually has, after Sunday, the longest streak with 140 plus passer rating is 3 games, and Jared Goff has 3 right now. Aaron Rodgers, Kurt Warner, and Roger Staubach are joint. 2 of those 3 players won MVP that season. So, yeah, I think the signs are great for Jared Goff, and yeah, I love having that at 30-1 on my preseason bet list. Not quite Jared Goff, but just a related fact about the Lions offense as well. And Ben Johnson having Brian Flores as his number, essentially. Since Brian Flores joined the Vikings, his defense has allowed 30 plus points, or 30 or more points 4 times in 23 games. The Lions have done it every time they've played him 3 times now, which is very impressive. And yeah, Goff has got that blitz figured out. There was one where it was a screen pass to Jameer Gibbs where it was kind of like, I don't know if you remember this old clip of Liverpool Man United from the 80s, of Man United come running out to offside trap and Alan Hansen dinks it over them and just runs right through. Yeah. And then he squares it to Dalglish, who misses from inexplicably 3 yards. But it reminded me of that where like Jameer Gibbs is like the Alan Hansen in that way. It just kind of gets dinked over and the entire defense like runs where he was, not where he is, which I just simple but very, very effective play calling.
Excellent, yeah. Lions are all on. They've got they are a huge home favorite against the Tennessee Titans. Vikings with Thursday Night Football. We'll get to that before the end of the show. Staying in the NFC North, Packers were at home. They again kicked a very late field goal to overcome the Texans. Brandon McManus, new kicker in, kicked the game winner from 45 as time expired. Packers moved to 5-2. Texans also 5-2 now. I'm a little bit worried about the Houston Texans. Stroud didn't have a great day. He was 10 of 21 for 86. That O-line is horrendous. And I know the Packers are good defensively. I know they've got a good front. That O-line is awful. It is a miracle that Joe Mixon's managing to run with it.
Yeah, it's good play calling. And Mixon, I think maybe throughout his career, he hasn't got enough credit as a runner, maybe Joe Mixon. Like, he's always been in that 3rd or 2nd tier. And I think he's kind of shown with this whole line that he's got really good vision. He's got really good instincts. And, he's older, but he's no worse than he was a couple of years ago. And he has to be, like you say, because this O-line it was an issue last year and they schemed around it. It feels like I don't want to say a one-year wonder, but feels like Bobby Slowick's star was a lot brighter this time last year than it is now. Same for CJ Stroud as well. Sophomore slump to a degree, but he's not shining. I think his counting stats, I did look this up last night. I don't have the hand, unfortunately. His counting stats are about level with Trevor Lawrence, which, 2 weeks ago, while saying, were they wrong to pay Trevor Lawrence, etc. Whilst, again, we've got like CJ Stroud not that we have rankings, but like he's a top 6 quarterback, after a year. And it's like, well, are they a million miles away from each other, really? Maybe. But also, obviously, he doesn't have Nico Collins, which hinders. But yeah, the Texans just kind of look a little, I don't know, they're still going to walk away with the division. So it's not the end of the world, but I certainly had them as a real contender for the AFC this year, and I don't think that's realistic right now.
Yeah, I think a lot would have to change for that to happen. Still pretty good defensively, but it's just too much of a hindrance. I think they'll be fine. They'll get, they'll definitely have a winning record. I think they'll still win the division, but I just think when you come up against, anybody half decent in the playoffs, that whole line is just going to be too much of an issue to overcome. On the flip side, the Packers, speaking of issues to overcome, these interceptions don't really seem to phase Jordan Love, do they? He just keeps on throwing the ball, and he will just keep throwing it up and making these insane. He's definitely more Brett Favre than Aaron Rodgers, I think, if you're looking at comparison to Grease and Green Bay quarterbacks.
Yeah, definitely. It's very fun to watch. And Matt LaFleur kind of came out saying he wasn't happy with the comparison. And it's like, he seemed offended by it. I was like, again, Brett Favre, total piece of shit, but like, he was a 3-time MVP, I'm pretty sure. I think he won 3 MVPs in a row in the mid-90s. He certainly won 3. Super Bowl winner. Again, regardless of how much of a prick he is, like, he's a Green Bay icon, like an actual all-timer. Jordan Love's, played 8 great games in his career, 9 great games in his career. Like, I really like him. I think he's really fun, but I'm not sure you should be that offended at being compared to a literal all-time great. It feels a little, and he is throwing a lot of interceptions. I think maybe Matt LaFleur should. I'm not going to tell LaFleur to do his job. He's done a really good coaching job, but again, like, it's fine to be compared to Brett Favre. It's not an insult.
Yeah, remember Jordan Love's missed a couple of games as well. I'm pretty sure he is. I don't know if he's top or tied for most.
Probably per game, though, yeah.
So far, obviously he's missed. How many games did he miss? He missed 2 weeks, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I mean, this is, I say, most of the time he seems to find a way to overcome. Yeah, he's tied with Mahomes and Minshew with 8 interceptions, and he's played 2 fewer games than most of those. So, yeah, but Romeo Dobbs was particularly impressive. Yeah, and it was kind of when it isn't Jaden Reed, there is always somebody else that seems to have a big game. In this case, it was Dobbs, Wick, and then the touchdown grab from Wicks. Tucker Crafty, I'm liking more and more by the week as I see him. A fantastic big man catch in the end zone. Jacobs finally broke his receiving duck. Over 200 receptions as a running back without a touchdown in the NFL. I don't know how that's possible. Oh, it's a streak no more. Josh Jacobs had that. It's 215 or 220 catches now with one touchdown. And he had a decent day on the ground as well, almost 6.5 yards a go as well. I feel these two teams are, while they're the same record, they're going in different directions.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Sorry, go on, Joe.
I was just going to say, just looking at the stats, it's nuts. Yeah, Stroud only went 86 passing yards, and they got the points on a punt fumble, 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you compare the two, it certainly feels like, they're going in different directions. And I think the Packers again have showed something. I think with Love, there's always that worry that he's going to throw a game away. I don't think you can just keep relying on, I'm going to throw 2 interceptions, but I'll score 3 touchdowns. I don't think you can always rely on that. The 2 games I've lost this year is with Love at the quarterback. And they finally got a defense which is looking good and performing and hitting the levels which we thought the last probably 10 years the Packers defense how they looked on paper would do. So yeah, I think That NFC North's mad, isn't it? When you think about all 4 teams, like I still think the Bears. I want to see the Bears against one of the NFC North teams to see how they do. But the other 3 are all contenders, and I'd be shocked if the Lions didn't win it, but I wouldn't be like, holy shit, the Lions didn't win that division, because I think Packers and Vikings are super close. And if you looked at how we rank the NFC, I think our top 4, our top 4 out of the top 5 are NFC North teams. So that's how good this division is.
Feels right at the minute, given kind of where we are, for sure. It seems to be a lot of it's a very backloaded, the NFC North division games, primarily because the Bears don't play until week 11. So we'll see more as we go late in the season. Next up, Joe, let's talk about your San Francisco 49ers. The Chiefs go to 6-0, winning 28-18 in San Francisco. Niners fall to 3-4. Let's start though. Brandon Ayuk out for the season. ACL, MCL injury. It looked awful at the time. I think we all just sort of said in the chat while we were watching the game that looks like he's done. A horrible, just knee bending the way it shouldn't. Moment kind of caught in between 2 defensive backs tackling him. Obviously, Ayuk held in, I guess. Got his contract, and then, to be fair, it's not exactly. He's not been great, has he? Or they've not realistically found him much to start the season. One kind of standout game. But how big a miss is he going to be the rest of the way, Joe?
He's obviously going to be a miss, because coming into this year, I thought he was our number 1 wide receiver. Obviously, he hasn't performed that way. He's certainly been a slow start, but I was always had the hope that, yes, because he didn't have much of a training camp, so he'll be a bit rusty until week 10 onwards, and then he'll come alive in the playoffs. It's a massive loss. Obviously, the ACL and MCL is even worse in terms of his recovery for even next year. It could be one of them where we don't see him until mid next year. And is he going to look like, I think we'll play touching it, but Chubb, even though, it was great to have him back, he felt like he lost a step. And and it's one of them things like, we gave him that contract, he played well enough for that contract, so I can't hate on it. It's just a shame that once we gave him a big contract and one of the big wide receiver contracts that is injured, and is he ever going to be the same again? So it's disappointing. Obviously, there's news came out yesterday that Debo's got pneumonia-like symptoms and has been in the hospital with fluid in his lung. That was crazy. Not like another Stanford 49ers didn't announce or say anything about an illness before the game. It's a bit like, well, I probably want to put some bets on Debo if I actually knew that.
He had been ill. He did flash up that he'd been ill, but the fact that he suited up and was playing, I mean, fair play to Debo. So we didn't know what he particularly was suffering with. But Barry, you mentioned it off air before that. To suit up, and he played, he was in the game for, I think, 3 snaps, and he came out with what turns out to be pneumonia, fluid on your lungs. Fair play for trying to tough it out, Debo. Just sadly, obviously, he just wasn't fit enough at all, and maybe shouldn't have done that. But
that's what I mean. It's fair play, but surely someone should have been like, you know what, mate? Maybe not right now.
It's hard, isn't it, talking to these players about not wanting to play when you only get to play 17 games or 17 games in the regular season. So
yes, it's going to be a big miss. Obviously, they drafted Ricky Pearsall in the draft, which I think was done because they weren't quite sure if Ayuk would be remaining. It's remarkable that he's even alive. The fact that he managed to play the week. So when he came back, obviously, great for him that he survived that. He was able to play football again. And I was thinking, he could be the 4th wide receiver. But going into next week, he's probably their 1st wide receiver looking at it, because I think Juwan Jennings is injured as well. Kittle's day to day. So the Niners from last year, from being a very healthy team and not many injuries, have basically been cursed this year, where most of the top players have been injured, and some long term, and we'll see what happens with McCaffrey and all that. But it's not a great start. 3-4, not how I want to start it. I think in my heart I didn't expect them to beat the Chiefs, so it's a big game next week. The good teams win, great teams cover ball. If they can win that, get to 4-4 until the bye, and then see if they can get McCaffrey back and a few others, Debo and maybe Greenlaw. It might be a few more weeks, but Yeah, not great. And my confidence in them making the Super Bowl or even winning it has dropped massively from the start of the year. It feels like they're on a bit of a downhill tilt, especially when they can't beat the Chiefs, who right now are looking unstoppable. Even though it feels like they're not playing well, but they're unstoppable. It's the worst kind of team. It's the most annoying team where it feels like they don't play well, but they still win. That's the most frustrating. And it's it's crazy.
This is the
and
next step in the evolution, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And when you look at their schedule, really, if they beat the Bills in Buffalo, and then they've got the Texans, like where are you seeing that loss? Are they going to be? Could they be 17-0?
It'll be the Raiders. Yeah, whenever they play the Raiders, they've got to play them twice. They play Raiders next week in Las Vegas, and they play them at home in Week 13. I bet they'll lose when they get all onto the Broncos. It'll be something stupid like that.
Yeah, I can see that.
There's just one question I wanted to ask you before we'll stop talking about the sad 49ers. You said you think the window is closed. I think you might have said that during the game. I don't know. It was yesterday. I haven't had a bit of time to reflect on it. Do you think the 49ers truly think the 49ers window is closed?
I wouldn't say it's fully closed because they've still got good players and a great system. There's been plenty of teams who have not had the talent what the 49ers have and still win the Super Bowl. But the problem is they keep losing more and more. I would say after this year, once you have to pay Brock Purdy, it's certainly going to be a lot harder than it has been. There's going to have to be a few big decisions because hopefully teams haven't figured him out. But yeah, certain teams are able to get certain pressure and he takes a downward turn. Obviously throwing 3 interceptions, especially that red zone one was a killer. But like I said, I still think the 49ers, if they get the players who are going to come back all fit and healthy, I think they could beat anyone in the league on a given day. But the injury luck right now is not with them. So yeah, who knows? But I don't think it's like I said. I don't think it's fully closed, but it's a lot smaller than it was last year, for example.
And they are only one game back in the division.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
That is one benefit. The Rams are dead. The Seahawks and the Cardinals are up and down. I love the Seahawks, obviously. They're kind of my pet team right now, but they're not, an elite team by any means. So the division's still up for grabs. And I think the bye is really well timed for the Niners.
Yeah.
Which, if any chance to get McCaffrey back, get Debo healthier. And we mentioned Ricky Pearsall. I was kind of intrigued by Jacob Cowing, is it? I think it's called Cowing. Another rookie wide receiver had a couple of catches on Sunday. He looks a bit more of a kind of pure quick release route runner than Pearsall. So, in a weak division, if they can get those rookies a lot more game time between now and come the playoffs and, let Debo heal, let McCaffrey get back in there, Mason maybe shoulder that workload of McCaffrey. I don't think it's. I'm basically agreeing with you. It's kind of the long and short of it. I think it's not dead in the water, but obviously it's a rough weekend.
Yeah, and if they beat the Cowboys and the Seahawks have got the Bills, so I know the Seahawks are home, but play Bills a favourite, so they could go into that bye week 4-4 and top of the division. Yeah. So, but I think it makes that game next week for both teams. It feels like more of a must win, so it makes that a more interesting matchup.
I have to take the Cowboys currently 4.5-point underdogs. I've just taken it just because the fact they're coming off the bye week and the Niners are so banged up.
Oh, I like the idea of the 49ers plus 4.5, I must say.
Sorry?
I like the 49ers plus 4.5. I hadn't looked that far ahead yet.
The Cowboys plus 4.5.
Oh, the Cowboys are underdogs?
Yeah.
I misheard you, and I was like, I thought you said the Cowboys because the Niners were
taking the Cowboys
because the Niners were underdogs, and I was like, oh, with that many injuries, the Niners are still underdogs. Okay, I'm down, but I misheard you.
I would not be taking the Cowboys as 4.5-point favorites against anybody, right?
Me neither. That's why I was like, yeah, fuck that. I'm jumping on the Niners if the 4.5-point underdogs.
Yeah,
I haven't looked at the sheet clearly for next week yet. I just misheard you.
Yeah, but yeah, I think on the Chiefs side of things, as said, Kareem Hunt, relatively big game, the 2 touchdowns, and Mahomes did mainly did his damage with his legs. He's so good at on the sideline. Yeah, unbelievable.
I mean, that was obscene defensive play, though.
Yes.
Like, don't wear roller skates to try and tackle. Like, you've got to put a hit on him. I understand that you might get flagged if he's a dickhead and he steps out as you hit him, but like, you can't just completely fucking miss him.
I saw an interesting case being made for should the NFL almost have like a safety, buffer zone, where you make that sideline thing a bit thinner. So maybe let's split it and then have it white, and then the other half still where the other people have to stand on. But then if they're in the first part of it, they can be hit still. So we give the defenders a little bit more leeway, in terms of doing it. Because, I think that was the main reason they pulled up to, I don't want to cost the team 15 yards, whatever, and end up costing potentially a heck of a lot more than that. But, Mahomes not doing it with his arm. He's thrown at least one interception in every single game so far. So it's not great through the air. But, on the ground for sure. 5 for 39 on the ground. Hit some decent bets in this one. So I was on the under in the Chiefs money line. 147 Chiefs money line for plus money, which was good. Byron, you hit Mahomes 25 plus rush yards. I think Mahomes, that rush was 33 yards. It was the longest of his NFL career. So cashed it in one. And the other 3 bets you had, you were heavy on 49 weren't you? I think. So Joe, you had Debo plus 6 receptions. Byron, you were Niners halftime, full time. And Joe, you've
been an idiot to bet against Mahomes as an underdog, right?
There was one bit I was flipping out watching the game. So the Chiefs were just in prime position just to run out the game. Was it McCall Hardman? Yeah, he rushed in the touchdown just needlessly. And then the Niners marched up the field and scored. And luckily, not making the 2-point conversion kept it as an under. It was a comfortable under, and the Chiefs had no reason to do that. They could have ran that clock out. There was no need for them to do that. And
do you want to give a shout out to the saddest onside kick attempt of all time?
Yeah, that was.
Did that move 6 inches?
Maybe.
Maybe 6 inches, but I don't think it moved 6 feet. That was absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
just immediately, just we're fucked. And not someone who is on our show, but shout out my internet pal Cootadoodle, who has a wild bet of the weekend. 95-1, Brock Purdy to score 2 rushing touchdowns, which hit.
Nice. Yeah.
95-1.
Yeah. That's insane. Congratulations.
Yeah, what a shout.
Bet of the week for sure.
Yeah.
Crazy, yeah. And there was just one more talking about. So I shouted out during the game again in our chat while the game was on. Who's the safety, Joe? Is it Malik Mustafa?
Yeah, who's built like a shipwreck house.
Yeah, who then, I can't remember who it was, but he just cleaned somebody out. I think it was Hunt and he just hits like an absolute train. And then fucking Mahomes just ran over him. Absolutely.
Rhino Mahomes. I mean, what the heck? And then stands over him. That was
the ultimate. Yeah, and just full on bladed shoulder into him, wiped him out. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw, I think he put something on either Twitter or Instagram. It was like, when you it's like when you're in the league, it's that moment, whatever it is. It was something like that, but he made a joke about it, so I was like, okay, he's not too hurt about it.
Yeah, his pride certainly took a dent for sure. Because his eyes must have lit up there when Mahomes was there to think, at least I'm going to fucking nail him. And Mahomes just ran right through him. But yeah, Chiefs 6-0, Raiders next week. So yeah, that's probably the one where they're going to fucking lose. And then, Niners Sunday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys, which should be an interesting game. Right, we'll start racing through these because we spent a lot of time on those first games. Let's just touch on Ravens, Buccaneers from Monday Night Football. We don't usually get to talk about the Monday Night Football games because we record before, but not this week. The Ravens looked incredible again. Lamar, 5 passing touchdowns. Derrick Henry, 170 yards, 169 yards on the ground, including that 81-yard rush in the third quarter. They just look absolutely unreal.
Yeah, I had my doubts about the Ravens coming into the season, the O-line, the defense not being great, but and you've got Derrick Henry going for nearly 200, Lamar throwing 5 touchdowns. Does it matter? And shout out former Bucks, maybe Rashad Bateman. I mean, he was not didn't play well. He's just often injured. He's looking like a really useful number 2 wide receiver, number 3 like pass catcher in that thing. And Mark Andrews is back as well. Just kind of arrows up on everything for Baltimore. But really, really fun game to watch. And that Lamar Jackson touchdown throw to Rashad Bateman was. I just love it. Lamar Jackson is the best player to watch in the NFL, right? I mean, he's one of them players like a bit like I've said this before. I think Steph Curry in the NBA, where like even if you don't have any kind of knowledge of the sport or whatever, you just kind of like burst out laughing at like this guy's just fucking ridiculous, right? Like he's doing things that other people just cannot do. Lamar is like probably my favorite player to watch in the NFL. He's just absolutely just wonderful.
Yeah, you mentioned Mark Andrews as well. Kind of, he completely lost and just went missing the first 4 weeks. It seems the last 3 weeks has picked it up. 2 touchdowns in the game this week, and yeah, looks like he's getting back involved. And again, we know what Likely's been able to do in his absence before, and having the 2 weapons there, and Rashad Bateman's going, and Zay Flowers has looked good in periods as well, and combining that with the threat of Lamar on the floor and Derrick Henry. He's just crazy. The Bucks. Go on.
I would say in this game though, there was a few decisions which I think influenced it. Obviously, there was the terrible holding call for the Bucks, where they scored a touchdown, but then they had to settle for the field goal. The refs did it to the Ravens their next play, but they managed to score a touchdown, so that helped. That didn't affect it too much. And then there was the Evans drop. When he gets injured further, where obviously when he first caught his first touchdown, he was holding his hamstring, and then he had the other catch where I think if he was fully fit, he would have kept hold of that, and that would have put them up. I think it would have put them up by 21-14, or he certainly would have been put him up by quite a bit, because like straight away I think the play after that, that's where Baker throws the interception. So yeah, I think this could be a close game. They would have gone up 17-7, and then obviously with Evans going off injured as well, your main target. It's it would have been nice to see what would have happened if Evans was fully fit, if he was this kind of game, and if he was a lot closer. Because me too, I think Ravens' offense is looking incredible, but I still think you can score on this defense when the other teams. I think Baker had 370 yards. It was just the interceptions what killed them.
Yeah. I think the Bucks are in trouble, and we'll get to that. Mike Evans was a hamstring. He's not expected to be back until after their bye, so week 12.
Yeah.
Chris Godwin's done for the season. It was horrendous. Just pointing the other, his foot pointing the wrong way. It's just, awful ankle dislocation. Godwin out for the season, and Evans missing for a chunk of time. Are the Bucks dead without these two?
I don't know, dead, because that division's not.
That's the one thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a great division, and I think they still can pick up wins with just the system they're in. Obviously, Otton looked really good actually. Their tight end, I think he got 100 yards. So I think they'll still be able to beat bad teams. I just don't know how they'll play against like top quality opposition. So I think they can easily make it to the playoffs, like get Evans back. I think obviously next week they've got the Falcons. It's a huge game because obviously because they lost the Falcons the first off. So they got coming up Falcons, Chiefs, 49ers. So probably, and then they have the bye. So they might not win the next 3 games. But then, they've got Giants, Panthers, Raiders, Chargers, Cowboys, Panthers. They can pick up wins out with having Mike Evans back. And I think, they could survive and still win that division. I think next week, if they can win next week, then I think they're probably favourite to get that division. But it certainly doesn't help when all these injuries have happened all at once.
Rough night for the Buccaneers. 4 out of 5 bets I think we hit on Monday night the Ravens Bucks part of Monday Night Football. Had the Ravens as 4.5-point favourites. Byron, you hit Baker and Lamar 250 plus passing yards at just short of 3-1, and a Rashad Bateman touchdown, that moonshot plus 285. Joe, you were both teams over 2.5 touchdowns at plus 200. So successful first half of Monday Night Football. That was the first game, wasn't it?
I did just have another Lamar stat I wanted to shout out, but I seem to have misplaced it. Where's it gone? Lamar has had the 5 TD and 0 interception games. Tom Brady and I believe Peyton Manning, I don't have it in front of me right now, I've got 8 in however many hundreds of games they played. Lamar is second on 5 with 84 games played.
Incredible stuff, yeah.
It's God, I love Lamar Jackson. Simply put.
Rightly so, the current favourite for MVP. Let's get into we'll round up the rest of the games then, and he's our cover star of the week in our week 7 review, Lamar. We'll get into the rest of the games through our 4-4 challenge and ATS summary. But we've got to kick off with.
We've got any music or?
Boys, he's finally done it.
There we go.
I think it was 25 attempts, so 18 weeks last year and 7 this week. The 25th time of asking, he has finally hit the 4-fold. I think this is what happened. I didn't sleep very well on Sunday night. I think this is the reason why. So having gone 3-0 during the day, I was waiting on Jets Steelers over to hit.
Waiting all day for Sunday night.
Hit the 4-fold. I genuinely couldn't sleep. I was up checking the game. I don't know if that's the reason why. But I had a rough night's sleep, but I didn't find out anyway until the morning that I had gone over. But yeah, plus 12.28, so just over 12-1. It was nice to finally hit one. It was a big weight on the shoulders. Was not hitting the 4-fold. So glad to do it. And let's start running through the 4 successful picks with talking about Bengals Browns. And boy, it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Let's start with Deshaun Watson. You know what? I'm the clearly terrible person. I was fucking laughing. It was great.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're not going to hear any disagreement from me. I thought you were going to continue that. Sorry. Yeah, fuck Deshaun Watson. Fuck Jameis Winston, another accused sexual abuser who wants to defend him. Fuck Myles Garrett, who, swings a helmet at a defenseless player without a helmet on head. Are these the people that you need a character reference for? Yes, if you're Deshaun Watson, because no credible person would dare defend you. Fuck that guy. Fuck the Browns. Perfect outcome, really. Let's be fair. Because it would have been funny if he got injured immediately when he went to the Browns. That would have been, haha, that would be funny. But instead, he stunk up the joint. Even the Browns fans fucking hate him and are booing him getting stretchered off. His career's over. The Browns are still going to have to pay him. It's just great. And the team's absolutely in the fucking tank. I'd say I feel for Stefanski because he's probably been put in a situation where he has to play him, but, you don't have to do anything. Getting fired rather than playing a multiply accused sexual abuser who can't play fucking football. Make them fire you. Play Jameis Winston, play DTR, sign Joe Flacco, do anything. I thought this was absolutely fantastic. And I love that, it's a contentious time in America. We've got an election coming up pretty soon. A lot of people at each other's throats. And it feels like 90% of the country was finally unified on one issue. Yeah. And it's fuck Deshaun Watson. So, just wonderful.
Yeah, I just watching it. It was a game. You kind of saw it happen, because I think it looked like the play was quarterback draw. I think. Yeah. And just as soon as he moved forward, and then CBS, I think you had the game, were so quick to get the replay from behind of and I hate that they're horrible to watch those. Where you see it pop, but yeah, they were that replay was ready within 10 seconds. Yeah. It was crazy how on it they were.
Well, I thought it was weird when there's a bad injury, look away now, but this was get your recorder ready, which seemed a bit weird. I mean, also, who has a tape recorder in 2024, but, if you had a VHS, I'm sure you'd have been, get record set.
Yeah. Plus side for Cleveland, we mentioned it before. It was nice to see Nick Chubb back. He looked yeah, that injury's fucked him up. But yeah, he was good. Nice to see him on the field. And after initially, not long after the injury, initially getting a rushing touchdown called back, he managed to get one in for 6. So it was nice to see him back for the Browns. Yeah, I don't know what the Browns are going to do. So they tried, obviously, James Winston was the third emergency quarterback. So they tried DTR. That didn't go great. And then they put James Winston in. It was the first time since the Chiefs in 2008, first team that had 3 quarterbacks attempt 10 or more passes in the same game, which was crazy. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if it's going to be Winston. I don't know if DTR's injured. It'll be, I think they signed Bailey. Am I right? They signed Bailey Zappi?
They did indeed, yeah.
So yeah, that could get crazy. It's going to be some fun
after if they want to play winning football, to play James Winston. If they want to take a look at DTR for the future because they're going nowhere this year, they'll play DTR. I think that's kind of the long and short of it. I depend on DTR's fitness. I kind of wonder if DTR was injured on Sunday.
Yeah,
because
I also wonder if, because there was the rumors, obviously, the Browns are playing Watson more because they wanted the number 1 pick next year because how bad he is and he's been playing. So I think this might tell us if they do go DTR over Winston. Obviously, like you said, depending on injury. Or if they bring Zappi straight in, just to be like, yeah, they definitely want that number 1 pick. And that's how it's going.
If you're after a quarterback, I'm not sure this is the year for a number 1 pick because I don't know if it's going to be Carson Beck out of Georgia or Shadur Sanders from, obviously, Deion's kid from Colorado. Those seem to be the only. Quinn Ewers maybe out of Texas, but I don't know if any of them should be going anywhere near number 1.
Yeah, but they always do.
Cameron Ward
out Miami's, yeah, I guess maybe.
I'm just looking at the odds for number 1 pick. Truthfully, yeah. I'm not
super into Miami have had a really, really good start to the season. I think they're 7-0 or 6-0 so far. They'll be in college football playoff contention for sure, potentially win the ACC. But yeah, maybe Cam Ward might be the best of the 4, but I don't.
Sanders is currently the DraftKings favorite, and then you've got Cam Ward, and then what would be the funnest one? Let's be fair, Travis Hunter.
But it's also the Browns, so they'll get the worst quarterback in that draft.
They'll fuck it up however they do it.
Yeah,
that's absolutely right. Yeah.
And just quick word on the Bengals. Obviously, this was 21-14. Ended up being close to the Browns scored. Obviously, quite near the end. Yeah, this was a horrible game. It was 7-0 for so long. The Bengals obviously returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown. Ultimately, that's what split the 2 teams.
Yeah, and the Bengals didn't score again until midway through the 3rd quarter. In our fantasy game day little mini competition we had, I had Jamar Chase as captain, Joe Burrow as my quarterback. I thought, they're going to go off against the Browns here, and they certainly didn't.
Can I ask them, Paul? Sorry, why did you have the Bengals number 9 in your power ranking then?
I think I moved them up, didn't I? I moved them up one place from last week.
Yeah, but they're still in the top 10 after only just about.
I think it's just because I moved the Niners down, I think, and they just went up in the sheet, I think, more than anything.
I moved them up 3. I got them at 15 this week. But again, that was more moving teams down, I think.
Yeah, so same thing happened to me as well.
Similar.
I still believe in Joe Burrow. I still believe in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and this defense will hopefully get better.
I mean, Joe Burrow only had 60 more yards than Deshaun Watson in this game.
On that point, he was trending for it to be his best game as well.
Yeah. 15-17
for 28. Oh, what a shame. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, Bengals.
Sorry, I had the NFL game cast up, ESPN game cast up of the Bengals Browns, and the opening sentences. As Deshaun Watson took the ball under his arm and collapsed without being touched, some Browns fans cheered. Oh, that's too fucking good. They're not even trying to hide it. That's incredible.
Yeah. Bengals have got the Eagles at home in what feels like a real big game for them. The Browns have the Ravens. If Jameis is starting and it stays more than a touchdown, I think I might take the Browns.
Is it home or so?
It's
home.
Cleveland,
yeah. Because that defense can turn up as well.
Yeah, the +9 at the minute. But anyway, that's for next week. Bengals Eagles feels huge as well. For both.
Kind of for both, yeah.
Yeah. We'll get to the Eagles shortly. Colts, I had Colts Dolphins under 43.5. Colts won. Anthony Richardson looks awful again. The Colts won because they were playing the Dolphins, who just still have not managed to deal with, get anything going with Tua being out. Tyler Huntley came out of the game, although it was looking like his kind of best start. I think he was 7 for 13 and a touchdown. And then we got Tim Boyle.
Tim Boyle extends his incredible record as well now. Any game in which he's thrown a pass, his team loses. He's now 0-10 where he's thrown a pass.
Good stuff.
What that man has a job is, he must be very cool in the locker room.
Did you see the video of like the wide receivers with Matt Daniels? That was looking a bit strange. That they're all just like playing around and.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's like a weird video, and it's like a weird he's another head coach when from like the top of the tree, everyone, ranking him in the top 5, top 10 head coaches. Someone where it's like, is he going to be there end of next year? Just how everything's going. Is that team going to get blown up soon?
Feels like it probably should. They are woefully incompetent and woefully uncompetitive. And I know you've got a quarterback injury. So what? At a certain point, like get on with it, get over it. This is unacceptable.
This quarterback has a history of injury as well. Like you've not prepared. You
don't
have plan B. Other teams do when you look at the backups that a lot of other teams have.
Every week, it looks like their quarterback got injured on the way to the game.
Yeah,
there's I said, no plan B. There's just nothing in place, and you have players that you can scheme around. Achane, Hill, and Waddle are schemable players. You've got Raheem Mostert as well. These are track stars. If you can't scheme an offense without having Tua, I think it says an awful lot. And the defense isn't horrendous, but they were playing the Colts, who aren't any kind of big shot on offense. They look a bit like Brandon Staley's Chargers. They just don't look like they give a shit.
Yeah.
And to Joe's point, that video of them pissing around on the sideline. If I'm a Dolphin, I don't know if Dolphins have angry fans though, other than when you say something bad about Tua online. But I'd be fucking furious if I seen, my team just joking around on the sideline as you're getting your pants pulled down by Anthony Richardson and his bunch of merit, Tyler Goodson. I mean, it's preseason football.
Yeah, my general feeling about Matt Daniels is almost like that teacher who's just a bit laid back, and everyone therefore takes the piss out of him and walks all over him at school. Is what I get from him. To get look, you have people, huge difference makers. To get Tyreek Hill the ball twice is crazy. They rushed him once and he got one catch. You'd be doing everything to get Tyreek Hill that balls. It's just it's crazy. Colts 4-3 winning record. They've got another win with Anthony Richardson. In spite of, not because of, 10 for 24, less than 50% again passing. He's worse under no pressure.
Yeah.
When he isn't getting rushed, when he has time, he gets less accurate. It's crazy. I've never seen a quarterback like it.
No, and they're still going to give him more time. As an organization, not against pressure. He had some nice plays on Sunday. It wasn't all total shit, but the vast majority was really bad. I think they just need to keep playing him because he's still got less than 10 NFL games in his career. Yeah. And it really helps, I think, keep the pressure of Joe Flacco away when they do win games, regardless of how bad they do win. If Joe Flacco comes in and wins this game 30-10, it doesn't really make any difference at the end of the day. So I think that kind of keeps the pressure off Steichen and gives Richardson a little more time to breathe and a little more maybe room to grow. And his running was not great, but he had a couple of nice runs this week as well. So I'm not quite ready to throw in the towel, I don't think, on Richardson, but it was certainly like you said, a winning spite of rather than because of.
Yeah, the Colts have got the Texans next week when they've already gave up a game to the Texans. They're one game behind and have already lost to the Texans. This is huge in terms of the division. If you would be serious, can you be serious about winning the division? And I would want to be going into that game with Joe Flacco and Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, I mean, I would, but I think that's only if you think winning the division this year is realistic, and I don't think it is. So, but I understand, like, if you're
good though, do they? That's the thing. Like, I know the Texans are 5-2, but
yeah,
if you can find a way to win, you're tied and you split the series, and you're halfway through the season with everything to play for from a division perspective. So, yeah, I understand it's a difficult situation, but the Colts put themselves in that situation by drafting Andy Richardson at number 4 overall.
Yeah, but I mean, what situation were they in what had they done before drafting Andy Richardson number 4 overall between Andrew Luck retiring and, like, you don't get many chances to draft a quarterback?
Should have asked Phil Rivers to come out of retirement again.
Phil Rivers was dog shit by the time he was done. Like, he was sub Flacco at this point. Matt Ryan was absolutely washed. Like, I don't mind teams taking a gamble on a quarterback. Like, I think Anthony Richardson had more projectable upside than, like, a Zach Wilson, who looked like he was destined to fail. Same as, like, Trey Lance. Like, he didn't work, but I can understand the thought process. I don't know. I'm not ready to throw, to end Anthony Richardson as an idea. I still think there's something there.
End him as an idea. Brilliant. Right, the Dolphins 2-4 look like Tua's going to be back this week, so
no pressure to her.
That should be the end of the Stab Dolphins games. It sounds like he's going to practice Wednesday and play against the Cardinals next week. Shout out our friend Andy Davis, who's going to be going. He was hopefully going to be. He was planning on being the guest next week, but he's off to sunny Miami for a little holiday. So have fun in Florida, Andy, and we'll catch you when you are back. You mentioned Zach Wilson there. Just a quick second. Let's talk about the Jets. Fuck me, was this bad? And do you remember the fact that the last 2 years with Zach Wilson, the Jets at this point in the season have had winning records? And
I think last year they were 4-3. I didn't know about the year before.
They were 4-3 and 5-2.
But let's be honest, it wasn't because of Zach Wilson.
It wasn't, no. But with Aaron Rodgers, they're 2-5. It's hilarious.
And who are the 2 quarterbacks that beat this year? I do know the answer if you don't.
It is Will Levis and Jacoby Brissett. Baron froze at that moment. Yeah.
2 of the few quarterbacks less than Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, you were right. Yeah, Will Levis and Jacoby Brissett.
The big 2-1 win team so far.
Yeah.
They've smashed another panic button. They're running out of panic buttons to smash. Hassan Reddick.
They've had more panic buttons and wins.
Fired the coach, traded for Devontae Adams, got Hassan Reddick back in the building. There's only one left, and it's their Aaron Rodgers call to run the table. That's all they've got left.
Well, it was blaming the media this week. So that was another one.
Was it?
Well, he was saying. I think someone asked him like, "Oh, how do you get this team to start believing again?" He was like, "Obviously not believing what the media's been saying about us." Like, you're 2-5. Yeah, probably.
I love him. He's such a prick.
Yeah, that's the last thing they've got left. That's the last panic button they've got left to smash, and it'll happen soon because it's not long to go because they are 2-5. I think maybe they can get to 10-7 and get in the playoffs as a wildcard team. I guess, right? 10-7 probably should get you in. So they've got two games, but is this team
again on Sunday?
Sorry?
Is Brissett starting again on Sunday or
I don't know. Well, they need to go. What is that? 8-2 then, don't they? Realistically,
yeah.
Yeah, we're close to that. Outside of Breece Hall, it was a struggle. They didn't really get Devontae Adams going. Obviously, Rodgers threw 2 interceptions. The first one is an insane play from, Beanie Bishop. An incredible one-handed grab. And the second one, what is Garrett Wilson doing?
Trying to get traded, I think. Be trading him for Donald Driver's rights or something from Green Bay, I'm pretty sure. So, it just kind of bounce ball. Not great.
On the other side of things, Russell Wilson looked pretty good for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
The fantasy QB3 this week, Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
He had some nice deep throws. There was one fry move caught, like a one-hander. Pickens was picking on Sauce Gardner.
Yeah, he gave Sauce Gardner fits. Like Pickens, this is not the same person that we've seen the last few weeks. George Pickens, he's looked completely disinterested.
Yeah.
Hasn't run his routes. He fought for everything in this game. And I feel like Russell Wilson was making a point about this is what I can do that Justin Fields can't. Because everything was the loopy touch pass.
Yeah.
Everything was. But yeah, just solid performance. He looked like he could move, which we hadn't. Maybe in Denver, he just didn't look like he had the ability to move at all. But he was rolling out. I mean, he didn't look massively mobile, but he looked like he could get off the spot and things like that. If Russell Wilson can play top 16 level quarterback, how much more of a dangerous proposition does this make the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Obviously, it makes them dangerous just because that defense. It's just, I'm not ready to trust Wilson fully. Like he had a few decent games last year as well for Denver with Sean Payton. I just want to see him consistent and see if he can, carry on that because, yeah, like he certainly proved me wrong in this game, and yeah, he played amazing. But they were also 15-6 down with Rodgers before he threw that interception. I think these games can turn on that kind of thing, and how would he have looked if he was down and having to come back that way, and how the fans would have reacted. But he had a great game. Can they continue? Yeah, it probably just doesn't help that they're in that division. Obviously, how they play against the Bengals will be massive. But I think we said it at the start of the year. I still can see them being the 7th seed, 6th seed in the playoffs. But is a top 16 quarterback going to get you far? Once you play the big teams, that's the biggest question. But yeah, great start for him, and you can't really complain at all to be a Steelers fan.
Went as well as it kind of could have done for Tomlin, because potentially if he goes in and stinks up the joint and they lose the game, we heavily criticised for taking Fields out. But yeah, Wilson went and delivered. Steelers are in prime time again next week. They're on Monday Night Football against the Giants. Jets have got their second game against the Patriots, which they're favoured for by a whole touchdown.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? Could Drake May end Aaron Rodgers' season career? Be interesting. Feel a bit like yeah, that would be crazy stuff. And yeah, so I was on the over Jets Steelers, and yeah, the under. The Chiefs as an underdog. Okay, yeah, can't believe you both let me take it. Craziness. Patrick Mahomes extends that that run as winning straight up against as an underdog. And what is it? I think it's 13-1-1 now and 11-3 straight up as an underdog. Just keep betting it. Keep making Patrick Mahomes an underdog. I will keep betting it, and I will keep making money.
Don't think you'll get it this week.
No, I mean, I likely don't think he'll get it again during the regular season. Maybe the Bills. They play the Bills again. Bills away.
Bills week 11, I believe.
Yeah, they'll probably be an underdog there, and he'll go and win.
Yeah. See how much weeks.
Byron, yours. To be fair, you two, we were only both a game away, 3-1. So
I was banged this week.
Yeah,
we'll get to the only one I missed, but I was furious.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about the Lions. You had the Lions as the underdog, Byron. So yeah, that hit. Commanders, it's 8-point favourites at home to the Panthers. The story in this one, though, was obviously, the Commanders beat the fuck out of the Panthers, but they did it without Jaden Daniels, who was my fantasy goddamn game day quarterback, and that fucking screwed me. But Jaden Daniels came out of the game early with a rib injury, and Marcus Mariota went in and looked like he hadn't missed a step, but also playing against the Panthers.
Not so much not missed a step. He looked better than he has for years. Like, he looked like he hasn't missed a step from his second year in the NFL. Like, in Atlanta, I figured this guy was absolutely washed and done forever. But it really, 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 really helps playing this Carolina team, who, again, I'm pretty sure us 3 plus 8 people we've never met would probably only lose by 20 points or so because this team looks absolutely they're so bad to watch. There's nothing going for them. You might as well stick Bryce Young back in because Dalton's doing nothing. See if you've got anything there. See if you can scheme something between now and January. Because if not, you're just releasing him or trading him to anyone who'll take his. Not his salary's huge, but you're just trading him for something to get him out the building because it's a albatross at that point of a pick and a player. You need to see if there's anything you can work with there with Bryce Young because the Andy Dalton bounce back was a fun one for a week against the Raiders, but it's nothing. There's nothing there. He got less than 100 yards this week. Tube Rubbard continues to try his hardest. God bless him. Don't know if
he's in the right spot, isn't he?
And even this week, it was, thankfully he got a touchdown if you're a fantasy manager who has him, but barely into 17 for 50, I think, at 52. Yeah. There's just nothing there for Carolina. I think any week there under 10 points, I think I'll probably be tempted to put whoever they're playing as my favorite of the week because they're just lost. There's nothing there.
And a line I think was crazy. If we even said that this would be a line at week 8, the Broncos are 9-point favorites against them next week. 9-point favorites.
Yeah, and I probably fancy taking the Broncos there because there's some competency in Denver. And I mean, we've seen on Thursday they're willing to put the foot down when it matters, and the defense is a good one. The Carolina are if they don't get the number 1 pick, I'll be absolutely stunned.
I do well. It's them, the Patriots, potentially the Browns now as well, all in the mix for it. Just want to call out one thing for the Commanders. Every time this game came on, I was watching the Chiefs-Niners game and then also had Red Zone on. Every time it flips this game, Dante Fowler was making a big play.
Yeah.
He was absolutely everywhere. He had the interception return for a touchdown to kick things off. And then, he was in the backfield, tackle for loss, sack. He was just everywhere.
Yeah. Useful player on a defense, I would think.
Yeah. Useful depth on your defensive line, for sure. Commanders 5-2, and we get number 1 overall pick versus number 2 overall pick.
Presuming Jaden is fit enough, he is regarded as week to week. I think he'll be fine.
I think he'll be fine. Yeah, they just obviously we're not taking any risk with him this week. Commanders play the Bears. The Panthers, as mentioned, play the Broncos. Your over was Texans Packers, which definitely looked like it was going to hit. We've already talked about this game.
33 points at halftime.
33 at halftime, and then there was 13 scored.
Yeah, very, very frustrating. I don't know how you don't get the over here.
Yeah.
Don't really have much more to say. We've covered the game, but you get 33 points in a 48 over under. You think you're going to get the over at halftime, so
comfortably the thought as well. But the scoring slowed down. Your under you did hit though. That was Monday Night Football, Chargers, Cardinals, and this was very much a flip of the game script from the Chargers from what we've seen.
Yeah.
Obviously, the plan before had been not really letting Justin Herbert throw the ball and pounding the rock. And they had Justin Herbert throw the ball 39 times for 349 yards.
And not get a touchdown.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Obviously, it didn't help with the fumble out the end zone. Obviously, that was a lot of yards there where I think it was like a toe away from being out of bounds, which, I mean, you mentioned the Vikings one is very similar, but just it's why the Chargers team annoys me because the games I thought, they'll probably struggle or don't know do well. They're absolutely smash teams, and then I was a bit like, even though I went for the Cardinals originally, I put the Chargers to cover this one and cost me a nice treble, and it was just frustrating game all around. Will Disley looked good for the Chargers. He's coming out the works are there, but then on the Cardinals side, I think what happened is, what I mentioned when we were talking about the game is you can run on this Chargers team, and obviously James Conner got another 100-yard game. Murray with a long touchdown where I don't know if you've seen it, where he knew he scored a touchdown even before he went past the play, and it was probably 30 yards out. And I had a bet on Murray to get over 75, and he got 64. I think he ran about 80 for that touchdown because he ran all the way around, and it's just but and obviously Marvin Harrison still not looking incredible. And I don't know if you saw the personal foul on him on the last drive. I've seen people online saying it was a bogus call. It was helmet to helmet. I found, but yeah, they certainly it was close. So yeah, the Cardinals sneak another win and 3-4 and second in the division.
Yeah, it's only that game against the Rams where we've kind of really seen a big output from Marvin Harrison Jr. But look, I think he's going to be fine. And Cardinals have got a trip to Miami where they're 3-point underdogs against the Dolphins next week. So we'll see if they can get back to 500. And if they do get back to 500, they're in the mix for that division just because of where it's at, because of the Niners' struggles and where the Rams are at, and the Seahawks in the mixed bag you get from them. So yeah, they could be right in the mix. Remember, I shouted out the whole offseason thinking they could be one, not necessarily to make worst to first, because I thought the Niners would obviously be what we expect, but certainly to get a wild card spot was a possibility. So just remember that, guys. Eagles next. So Joe, Eagles were your favourite. They just beat the piss out of the New York Giants, really, didn't they? 28-3. The Eagles didn't have to be spectacular, did they? They had a huge game on the ground. Saquon Barkley, 17 carries for 176 yards and a touchdown in his revenge game. Saquon was making his point, right? Yeah,
it felt like why I didn't put any money or just go all in on Barkley. It was right there for everyone to go for it and for him to have a huge game. And I don't know if you saw the video as well where they asked him if he wanted to go back in to get an extra 13 yards to hit his record of most yards, but he was like, nah, good. Put the youngsters in. So he has a monster game and looks like the good guy. Like, what else could he have done? And some of the Giants fans burning his jerseys, and yeah.
Well, they're acting like he wanted to leave. He didn't want to leave. He was very vocal in the fact that he wanted to stay. They just didn't want to pay him.
After he paid Daniel Jones $40 million a year.
Yeah. Well, I love do you see what Bill Belichick said? He said, well, how could you not give this guy a couple of more million when you may have got some random right guard instead? So
yeah, John Runyon, yeah.
Yeah, the Giants reap what they sow.
Yeah, AJ Brown was the only Eagles receiver to get more than 11 receiving yards during the game. It was a relatively quiet one from Jalen Hurts through the air, but he got 2 touchdowns on the ground. And yeah, the Giants, things aren't getting better, are they? And Daboll had to come out and say they're sticking with Daniel Jones, which suggests that's not going to be for that much longer.
Yeah, I think they should maybe make a rush on that because Daniel Jones has an injury guaranteed contract next year. He does not have anything else guaranteed in his contract. And without Andrew Thomas, they got 8 sacks on Daniel Jones this week. Or the Eagles got 8 sacks. I don't know if they want on Daniel Jones actually.
No, just the 7 on Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I realised as I was saying that. I think one was on luck. But yeah, that was 8 sacks on the Eagles blitzed once. And got 8 sacks. That O-line, this is one I actually believe, Paul, you could probably get a sack on.
Yes, yeah.
I'll actually go along with it this time.
They were that bad.
Do the Giants have the Steelers next week?
Yes,
Monday Night Football. Well, that could be a murder.
Yeah.
I mean, you look what they've just done to the Jets. I mean, not putting up the sack numbers, but the pressure numbers were certainly there. Yeah, TJ Watt might just carry Daniel Jones out of the stadium.
Yeah, I think what this got is show me what this game's done for me is that we're just one step closer to Tommy DeVito, so that's good.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see Drew Lock. He can't move like Daniel Jones, but I think he's a better thrower of the ball than Daniel Jones. I don't think he's a terrible throwing quarterback. He's a bit. It reminds me of like Poundland Baker Mayfield. Which and it's not the biggest compliment in the world, but like he can throw the ball fine. He just makes bad decisions. Which again, it's not a compliment. He's Poundland version. But yeah, I'll be interested to see what Drew Lock does once he gets in there. Because I agree. I don't think it'll be long. I think it should be this week, truthfully. But Giants they're going nowhere again, are they?
Yeah, Eagles 4-2, Giants 2-5. I think they could potentially be in the mix. And one of the quarterback I forgot to mention was the potential available Alabama's Jaden Milroe, who is like a worse version of Andy Richardson, I think. So yeah, he'll be in the mix as well. And smaller and worse. Yeah, so
I hope you're not his agent. Jesus Christ.
and
You know a player I said who definitely doesn't have a future in the NFL? Imagine a worse version of him. Take him number 1 overall, yeah. Hell of a year.
so, but I imagine we'll go in the first round to somebody who's real desperate for a quarterback. Now, Joe, your underdog was the Seattle Seahawks, who, I mean,
Gino.
yeah, Gino, but how many? I bet like why? I've got it's a rule. Don't back the Atlanta Falcons as a home favorite because they are terrible, and I backed the Atlanta Falcons. One of my only missteps of Week 7. My God, were they bad? Horrendously bad.
Seems to be an issue every other week when they get pressure. Kirk Cousins can't move.
Yeah.
And when he can just sit there and throw like he did against the Bucks, weirdly, with the Bucks' talent on defense. I don't know if Clancy played in that game. It's fine and it works out, but when Cousins is pressured at all, the entire game script is gone. And, we thought the Seahawks would be liable to give up rushing yards here, and Bijan had a good game, but Cousins is such a liability when he gets pressure that, nothing you can do against it, really.
Yeah, 34-14, the Seahawks in this one. Seahawks go to 4-3. Atlanta fall to 4-3. On the plus side, I think for Seahawks, it was an important one for them after kind of 3 wins and 3 losses. So to do that, bad news, Metcalf looked injured. I think he's week to week with a MCL sprain. And this offense looks a lot different if Metcalf isn't in it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say he's been very up and down as well. So he's obviously had these big games where he got 99 yards and 4 receptions, but he's also had games where he's had like 5 yards. So I'd be curious if they'll start getting JSN a bit more involved, because I expected him to have a big year this year, but it doesn't seem to quite clicked. This is now, so maybe they'll try and get JSN more into this game and use the tight ends as well. But yeah, it was a big win for them. I think Kenneth Walker's still looking great. That catch, I don't know if you saw the touchdown catch was like top wide receiver would be very proud of that. And on that, the Falcons side as well, like I said, I think it was just the mistakes. I still think the one thing they've got going for them, I still think Drake London is still looking really good this year. And actually, Kyle Pitts is doing stuff as well, which finally a lot of people will be happy after taking him, and Bijan looking like Bijan. So,
Bijan had a good game. Feels like they wasted the Bijan game. I think he had 140 odd yards overall, 103 on the ground and 40 through the air. But I know, I'm just still not convinced about Atlanta at all. And they play the Bucs next. So I think they're understandably favoured because the Bucs are so banged up, and huge if they can win that, because to have the tiebreaker over the Bucs would be massive. The
other 2 teams are going as well.
Yeah, so they play the Bucs. Seahawks play the Bills. They host the Bills in Seattle next week. Rams Raiders, Joe, was your over? Just didn't quite get there. Rams win 20-15. What do we make of Antonio Pierce's decision to kick a field goal down 8 in the 4th quarter to make a one-score game?
He'd done this with a punt in week 1 or 2, right, as well.
Yeah,
I was very critical of it then, and I'm very critical of it now. It's pathetic. It's mine. I don't understand what the end result you're hoping for is. That your defense will stop them, and then you need to go and score another touchdown.
Yeah. So they got the ball back at the 10-yard line. Yeah, when they were there, and the issue was there was a penalty, a pre-snap penalty that caused the to be a 4th and goal from the 4 to a 4th and goal from the 9. Yeah, and that's why I kicked the field goal. Again, I agree, just terrible decision. And they got the ball back again at their own 10-yard line with no timeouts, and I think maybe 130, 135 to go.
Yeah, it's a lot further than 9.
I just 89 is more than 9, just to confirm.
Yeah, I'm not a math genius, but I don't know if anyone asked Antonio Pierce about it after the game, but I'd love to hear the explanation, because a field goal does nothing for you. Like, you'd be as well trying to fucking punt it to the 1-yard line. and really box the Rams in if you just don't think you can score from there. I just don't understand, what does a field goal do for you?
It was playing scared, and
I think he's a one and done here.
Yeah, I'm getting worried for him. I think he's a very much a coach. He's not an obviously he's a defensive guy, but he's not like he's not a defensive guru or an offensive mind. He's like
a new raw, He's
a culture, he's a culture guy, and the culture also seems to have got rotten real quickly. Maybe it wasn't Josh McDaniels that was the problem.
Yeah, or maybe it's showing how bad Josh McDaniels was, that Antonio Pierce seemed like a savior until he actually got time to settle in. But there's nothing good going on I think I've said Oakland a few times. Nothing good going on in Vegas. It just
there's no sports going on in Oakland now. But Gardner Minshew came in, relieved Aiden O'Connell, broken thumb. He's out. I think they've signed Desmond Ridder today.
Yes.
The Raiders.
Yeah.
He might genuinely be a better option. Gardner Minshew was awful. And I know there is fun elements to Gardner Minshew. He's looked apart from that kind of 10 minutes against the Ravens, he's looked horrendous.
Yeah, and you think there's probably going to be a quarterback change at some point, because Antonio Pierce loves to get rid of his quarterbacks.
Just leaving that one there,
yeah? Let that linger.
Excellent. Brock Bowers looked real good. Again, and obviously huge, 14 targets. Rams needed to get another win, didn't they, desperately, in terms of this period that they're going without their players. They got it. They're 2-4 now. They also play Thursday night with, I think, Cooper. So despite assuming he doesn't get traded, it seems like Cooper Kupp will play Thursday if there isn't a serious trade for him. It's the start of people coming back, and they've opened the window on Puka Nacua, so he might only be a week or two away. All of a sudden, this is a completely different Rams team.
I'm guessing they'll issue, but they got Vikings obviously on Thursday, which we'll chat about. So if you lose that 2-5 going into a Seahawks one,
I love them on Thursday night against the Vikings.
Yeah.
Why? What's the reason why? You should both know what the reason why is.
Sean McVay on a Thursday.
No.
Matthew Stafford versus NFC North teams.
No. What's the start? Teams that have played the Lions.
Oh, yeah. I brought that up a few weeks ago, yeah.
On a short week. This, not just a normal week, on a short week, travel into LA.
That's an interesting shout, yeah. Good call.
Rams
2.5 points to Rams.
It started at +3.5. I've got it down at +3. It might be +2.5 elsewhere. I jumped on it at +3.5. I love the Rams in this spot.
Yeah, that's an interesting shout. And you did shout out Brock Bowers there. I just wanted to kind of mention Brock Bowers obviously is having a really, really incredible rookie season. Chris Godwin currently leads the NFL in receptions. Brock Bowers is second as a rookie tight end. And Godwin ain't going to get any more receptions this year, sadly. So, yeah, Bowers on 47. Garrett Wilson on 46. His target share is going to go down with Devontae Adams in there. Drake London's on 44. Wandale Robinson has got the fifth most with 43. But, yeah, Brock Bowers, I mean, geez, you'd probably be able to pick your price pre-season for him to lead the league in receptions, and he probably won't. He'll probably finish top 10, though, which on this offense, as a rookie tight end, is it's nice to see a rookie tight end really live up to the hype, I guess. We don't want to denigrate Kyle Pitts too much. He did have a good rookie season, but Bowers looks like probably the best tight end in football right now, which is wonderful 7 games into his career.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Raiders 2-5, and we just talked about the Rams next game. Raiders are probably going to beat the Chiefs. Probably the first time to beat the Chiefs. They're 10-point underdogs at home. To the Chiefs on Sunday. Last couple of games. Let's just jump to Thursday night football. Broncos. Let's shout out the guests fourfold. David, our Patriots fan from Pat's Touchback. I think he was at the game on Sunday at Wembley. He went 2-2. He had the Commanders as his favourite. Patriots as his underdog. Chiefs, Steelers over. They didn't hit, and he hit the under on the Colts, Dolphins as well. I'll try and do this in reverse over. Joe, you're tied with the guest on 12, 15, and 1 in the fourfold challenge so far. Byron next at 13 and 15, and I am comfortably above 500 now. 16, 11, and 1 on the season with the plus 12.28 win. Do you think it's going to take me another 25 weeks to get another one? I think it might.
I'm going to put it out there. I think you go back to back. I think we've got another one coming this week.
Interesting.
I do have a question, though, because obviously the loser of our fourfold challenge over the season, worst record currently Joe. I'm very close. Actually, no, I am last. Sorry. No. 13
No,
wins
Joe's
I have.
Half a game out, yeah.
Yeah, half a game. Sorry, I was miscalculating the push there. As a guest to joint with Joe, does Joe get to take all the guests to the restaurant of his choice or just one guest if it ends up as a tie like it is presently?
Joe, can you afford to take 18 guests with you to... where did you say you were going to go? Is it A&W?
Yeah, either that or Dairy Queen.
Right? Yeah.
I think they should be getting them over here would be probably the most cost.
And you're not far enough back that we should be trying to get more Canadian guests on, right?
Yeah.
Not yet.
Calgary standing up business card.
Yeah.
If we get Brett the Hitman hat on, maybe.
That should be an aim of this podcast, by the way. Joe, you need to go find Brett the Hitman hat in Calgary and get him to be on the show.
And there's got a casino out here, so could have a wander around there.
Excellent. Is it themed?
Yep.
You know I've never been.
The best there was, the best there is, the best there ever will be.
Catch the wrestling fans, 90s wrestling fans among you there. That I think your Vidal Sassoon one was the top gag of the season, but that's just replaced it.
Thanks very much.
Very good. Very good. Right. Thursday Night Football. Broncos, last couple of games that we need to talk about as part of our ATS Picks competition. Yes, storming week for me, 12 and 3. You two guys, 9 and 6. So I managed to catch up some games. I'm still 19 games behind Joe, who's leading the way. You are 8 clear of Byron. So you've been on fire, Joe. Another winning week for both of you, which was cool. Kicked off on Thursday Night Football. Broncos were 3-point favourites in New Orleans against the Saints for the return of Sean Payton. And the Broncos comfortably won 33-10. And everything's just fallen apart for the Saints. Everybody's injured.
This was one of the roughest games, I think, of the week. I think everyone knew the Panthers had gone, but this one I remember just watching. I watched till halftime because I was like, the Saints are not even bothered at this point.
They just quit.
That was my biggest takeaway as well. I know I mentioned Brandon Staley for the Dolphins earlier. This defensive effort was Brandon Staley against the Raiders-esque from the Saints, and it's more the offense has banged up for the Saints, which. I mean, Dennis Allen's out of the job at the end of the year, isn't he? I'm saying he's dead man. What he's gone. So, I think maybe again going against the Saints rest of the season might be a good bet if their defense doesn't book up their ideas come next week, because I don't think it takes long for real rot to set in on a franchise who are giving up, and they look like one. And I have to obviously shout out heartbreaking Rashid Shaheed out for the season, who's been one of the most exciting players in the league this year. Real bummer, really shining as a wide receiver as opposed to just a returner like he's been previously, and now he has his season over. Just really sucks.
Yeah, it does. Everything that can go wrong has gone wrong these last few weeks for the Saints. And they go to the Chargers next week. Probably not the kind of team you want to be playing after your defense has just quit.
No.
Broncos 4-3, winning record after 7 weeks. Don't think many of us saw that happening. Bo Nix looked okay again. The ground game, they ran for 225. Including Bo Nix ran for 75 yards on the ground as well. Javonte Williams, a couple of touchdowns.
We got the Panthers next.
And we've got the Panthers next.
Yeah. But then after that, they've got Ravens, Chiefs, Falcons. So
yeah. Early shout for Javonte Williams, fantasy game day captain though for Sunday. I'm guessing that's not a prime time game.
It's not, no.
It better not be.
It is not. Broncos Saints. And the last game, just the way it's fallen for us to talk about, is the Buffalo Bills. They beat Mason Rudolph and the Tennessee Titans 34-10 with, slow to get going. This is, for this kind of Buffalo Bills home game, this is the script. They are real slow to get going. The other team might get 2 scores ahead, and then they kick into gear in the second half.
Yeah. yeah, it seems to be the way every week. The Bills were 10-0 down in this game, right? Sorry, I don't have the actual scores up here for this one.
Yeah, they were 10 down. And Mason Rudolph led 2 pretty decent-looking drives as well, to be fair.
Yeah, he might not have like the sizzle of Will Levis, but he's much more sensible and much more grounded than Will Levis.
It's a shame for us.
I mean, it's very fun watching Will Levis be Will Levis, but yeah, and I know the numbers weren't huge, but Tony Pollard's really good. I know it's on a losing effort. I do have the stat up here. This is from Jacob Gibbs, who I quote a lot, to be fair. He works at CBS. He does really good work. So Tony Pollard got 61 rushing yards on 16 attempts this week. All 61 of them came after contact. It's insane. And this is pre-Monday Night Football, so Derrick Henry's numbers have gone up since here. But of rushing yards before contact of the top 16 backs in the NFL, Derrick Henry has 298 yards before contact, again, pre-Monday Night Football. Barkley, 286. J.K. Dobbins, 208. Lamar Jackson, 229. The lowest yards before contact is James Conner, again, pre-Monday Night Football at 101. Tank Bigsby, 107. Tony Pollard has got 25 yards before contact this year and is the 16th best rusher in the NFL. It's unfair.
That is crazy.
And he looks so good. Like, for what kind of, dirt was thrown on him last year, coming off a really horrific injury. I'm just really pleased for him. I've always liked Pollard in Dallas. Obviously, had a really rough year last year, coming back from that injury. I just thought that was absolutely incredible. 61 rushing yards, every single one of them after contact. Just
that is insane. Yeah. Craziness. Amari Cooper got the first touchdown for the Bills. I was a bit worried for him because his first target that hit him square in the chest, he fucking dropped. And Keon Coleman had a big game, 4 receptions for 125 yards. That might get him going. He's kind of had fits and starts, but that could be a big game that gets the Florida State wide receiver and first round pick going. Bills, as mentioned, have got the Seahawks, and the Titans have an uphill task in Detroit next week against the Lions. That rounds up the game. So, just the key differences for us, I think, on the ATS were Byron, you flew solo on the Jags. You took the Jags as favourites, and they won and covered in Wembley. I was the lone man on the Colts, although I regretted it. It came out. The Colts obviously covered -3. You two were on the Seahawks. Of course, Byron was on the Seahawks. He always is. I was on the Bills. You two thought the Titans were going to cover the 9.5. Where we're all.
I thought it was a halftime spread.
Yeah, nice. All on Commanders. We were all on the Raiders. I was again alone on the Chiefs, who won. Me and Byron on the Steelers. Me and Joe on the Ravens, and Joe, you finished off the week with the Cardinals, who won at home to the Chargers. So Joe had 62, 41, and 4. Byron 8 back, and a further 9 back. I need a lot more 12 and 3 weeks to catch you guys up. Last couple of bits, because appreciate the show. This episode has ran long. Fantasy Game Day winner. Congrats. So not an actual name this time. Jacko's 999 was the winner of the £7.50 OG version of Fantasy Game Day. Yeah, if you didn't notice, you can change your name now on there as well, so you're not just a strange colour and number combination. You can catch our lineups where GTWGTC is our name. And 167.7. It was a low-scoring week for winners. Jameer Gibbs, 64 as captain. Goff, Barkley, with obviously the monster day. Chubb, now see that. Shakir, Jefferson, Hopkins for 0.8, and a Tuckercraft for this one. A real, I guess, getting Gibbs, Barkley, and Jefferson all in the same lineup was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was tough this week. I think I certainly went premium on wide receivers, which wasn't a bad one, but the running backs paid off more. And I think, if you captain Jameer Gibbs, you'd be like his cousins, you should be dancing. Really a good one. So you'd be happy with that. Thanks
for the BG's gag there. Yeah, I think Nick Chubb opened it up, didn't it? Chubb was 2,200, so that opened it up, I think, to have the and D Hop would have been cheap as well.
I couldn't believe. So we'd done our fantasy game day preview, obviously, on whenever we've done our preview, and I even said to Joe, like, you've got the best pick of the thing, because like when I went to put it, I had Nick Chubb as well. I couldn't believe like neither of you had Nick Chubb in the actual lineups this week. I thought he was such an instant smash at 2,200. Not that he actually done much; it was only 10 points, but I thought, oh, you've got to get Nick Chubb in there, 2,200. He won me this week.
I was holding out for Ray Davis on the basis that Cook wasn't going to play. And then I went similar. I went Jalen Wright on the basis that I know he, obviously, A-Chain's back, but he got 18
I understand that, though. Yeah, you can run on the Colts.
Yeah, and he got 18 carries against the Patriots and I think close to 100 yards, and then he only got 5. He was 5 for 33, though. I thought he was going to get more use in the game, but that was my bit to try and open up. And then I was kiboshed with Jaden Daniels going out. That was my no chance. Byron, you won our head-to-head, and you play. So congrats to you. You have the power next week for our fantasy game day lineup. And if you haven't played yet, make sure you join. More and more games. There was a Monday dedicated game for double Monday Night Football. The guys at Gimme Ankit and Co are doing more and more. So get involved and use our promo code to sign up. So when you register for the first time, type in promo code COVER all in capital letters. When you submit and play a game for the first time, you'll then be credited with a free entry. Make the most of it. Like I say, the fantasy game day is just going to grow and grow and grow. So get involved and start being a part of it by getting a free little bonus on behalf of us. So, make sure you get involved. That is fantasy game day done. Until next week, where we'll be tipping. Yeah, we've touched on this already. Thursday Night Football, Vikings, Rams. Rams are 3-point underdogs at home. The over-under's 48. I've shared already wild the Rams. Vikings have played the Lions. Teams that play the Lions get beat the next week. It's a short week. It was a physical game. And they've got to go out west to LA. I love the Rams here. Guys, how are you two feeling about this one?
I was much more undecided until you've mentioned the Lions thing, to be fair, because I love that. I loved it when it was the 49ers 18 months ago. Cooper Kupp probably back by all sounds of it. I think, I agree. Rams plus 2.5 is a really nice bet, especially if you got it at 3 or 3.5, being ahead of the game. But I think that's a nice bet, and we'll keep doing it, of being against the Vikings until, they win the Super Bowl, I guess, is how it's going to end this season now. But I think McVay is someone who, I don't want to directly compare them as play callers, him and Ben Johnson, but I think he's someone who's smart enough and sharp enough to scheme away from the blitz. I think Kyron Williams could have a big game in that kind of environment. Yeah, I like the Rams as well at plus 2.5.
I think I'm going to go the Vikings. Just get what you said about the Lions, but Ben Johnson, but the Lions have got the best. Or certainly top 3 offensive lines, while the Rams are nowhere near that. So I think there's going to be a lot of rushing, and Stafford's not the most mobile kind of quarterback. So I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. What's the over-under?
48.
I'm definitely going to go under in that one.
Excellent.
The big under.
The big under.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. That's us done. A little bit longer. I think it's because we talked about Deshaun Watson getting hurt for 15 minutes and loved it. That's the end of our Week 7 review. We're back with our Week 8 preview. We've got Fletch from the Asleep at Work Network joining us as our guest picker, big Lions fan, so we'll have a little bit of focus on Lions Titans as a result. Hopefully we'll hit some more bets next week. It was a huge week for us this week. I was 12-3 on my spreads and totals. I will never be that good again. Joe, you were close to your treble, weren't you? You hit your over and under as well. So good week, profitable week for the good teams and great teams cover. Collective. Let's see if we can do the same next week. In the meantime, head to Good Teams with Great Teams cover on Spotify. Follow, you'll be notified new episodes when they drop, usually Monday for the review, Friday for the preview. Hit us up Twitter, GTW_GTC, along with Instagram and TikTok. You'll be able to follow all our bet cards, see all our bet posts, and our Charlie pick. I say Charlie's pick. He needs a win, Byron.
Yeah. Horrendous this week.
Win.
You picked the same.
Yeah.
It's going to get about 5 spots at some point.
Do we have to get a replacement dog? Is that what we need
I think we need to get a replacement snack. I'm thinking of getting him something really good for Thursday.
Okay, let's try another snack.
Yeah, I might have a meaty lunch and then save Charlie some for his treat.
Yes. Go ahead.
Because it seems like he's viewing it as he knows I want something from him.
Yeah.
So I think I need to push it as, no, you need to get in the zone here, Charlie, and really think about it. Don't think of like daddy's asking you to do something. Just go with your instinct, go with your gut, and go like, oh shit, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
I think he's overthinking it.
Excellent. I mean, for me, I hope he's on the Vikings because I don't want him on my Rams bet. Basically, is where I'm at with it. I think we're close to getting a replacement dog, to be honest, but we'll see.
If someone wants to pay for us to have a second dog, I am open to it. No offense, Charlie, love you dearly, but yeah, I've got a reputation here.
We do love Charlie. He's awesome, but he needs to start winning. And the last bit, YouTube was the other bit where you might get to see Charlie from time to time as well. Good team's looking great. GTD_GTC on YouTube as well. Thanks, gents. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll be back for the preview.